Yeah, it's a very sort of quick changeover as well.
To say the least. And having to get to grips with everything straight away must be quite...
Yes.
Politics can be a force for good, whether you voted Labour or not. In fact, especially if you did not, I say to you directly, my government will serve you.
Ricky Gervais didn't hold back when he saw Keir Starmer's awkward exchange with King Charles. I just think they're all lying, little expletive. Gervais blasted after footage emerged of the Labour leader's uncomfortable royal encounter. What's most fascinating isn't just the comedian's outburst, it's the stunning transformation of Starmer himself. The man who once proudly identified with Republican values now bows before the monarchy while cameras roll.
I hold my hands up. I am. So I try and not lecture people. I remember people were going, how dare he say those things to these most wonderful people in the world, these most privileged, handsome, lovely, multi-millionaires. And by the last one, people were going, give it to them. We're sick of them. I mean, in the news now, with these parties that the government, the people in charge were breaking the rules, having these parties in their lovely gardens. I think I've been naive.
The question remains, is this genuine respect or simply a calculated political performance? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Remember Keir Starmer, the passionate Republican who once rallied against the very institution of monarchy? It seems those principles have mysteriously vanished.
Just everything's up in the air. You can't look forward to anything. I can't put gigs in. I finished my tour just in the nick of time. Apart from the pandemic and the devastation and the deaths and the strain on the health service and people losing their livelihoods and that. The worst thing is the in charge.
Sir Keir Starmer, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty.
You must be utterly exhausted and nearly on your knees.
Not actually.
Quite a group.
The transformation we're witnessing from anti-royal critic to eager royal courtier isn't just bewildering. It's a calculated political manoeuvre that reeks of opportunism. Starmer's Republican history within Labour isn't some minor footnote in his political career. He openly challenged the monarchy's place in modern Britain, arguing for a more democratic future for the UK. His public statements questioned not just the monarchy's relevance, but its very legitimacy in a democratic society. These weren't passing comments, but deeply held convictions that formed a cornerstone of his political identity. Fast forward to recent months, and we're treated to the peculiar spectacle of Starmer awkwardly manoeuvring through royal engagements with King Charles. The footage speaks volumes. There he stands, stiffly waving at children who clearly have no idea who he is, desperately trying to project comfort in a role that contradicts everything he once stood for. The disconnect between his words and actions couldn't be more glaring. The recent meeting between Starmer and King Charles has become particularly notorious. Analysing the footage reveals moments of palpable tension, Starmer's rigid posture, his uncertain handshake, and that greeting which many have labelled downright disrespectful. Social media erupted with criticism, not just of the awkward interaction itself, but of the blatant hypocrisy it represented. What makes this charade even more transparent is Angela Rayner's strategic presence at these royal functions. Standing alongside Starmer, she completes the picture of Labour's newfound royal allegiance. This isn't coincidence, it's a deliberate attempt to reposition the party as monarchy-friendly, despite their leadership's documented anti-royal sentiments. The calculation is obvious. Royal popularity translates to voter approval. The public's reaction has been fascinating to watch unfold. Initial confusion, isn't this the same man who wanted to abolish the monarchy, has evolved into outright cynicism. Comment sections and Twitter threads are filled with accusations of political weather vaning, with voters increasingly questioning whether Starmer stands for anything beyond what polling suggests is momentarily advantageous. Amid this growing wave of public cynicism, it took just one comedian with a reputation for ruthless honesty to completely shatter Starmer's carefully constructed facade. Ricky Gervais, a man who's made a career of saying what others only dare to think, decided he'd had enough of this political shape-shifting. And when Gervais speaks, people don't just listen, they amplify. Gervais has built his reputation on an unwavering commitment to blunt truth-telling, regardless of who might be offended, from his infamous Golden Globes hosting gigs, where he mercilessly roasted Hollywood elites, to his public battles with religious institutions. Gervais has consistently positioned himself as the voice of the frustrated common person. Unlike politicians who measure every word against polling data, Gervais seems genuinely unbothered by the consequences of speaking his mind. When he turned his attention to Starmer's royal about-face, the impact was immediate and severe. Gervais didn't mince words, characterising politicians like Starmer as lying little posh figures who conveniently shift positions based on whatever seems advantageous at the moment. This wasn't just another comedian making a political joke. This was Britain's most unfiltered voice, articulating exactly what millions of voters were already thinking but hadn't heard expressed so directly. The power of Gervais' intervention became clear as his comments spread like wildfire across social media. What might have remained a niche political discussion suddenly became a national conversation about authenticity in leadership. Millions who may not follow politics closely were now engaged with the fundamental question: does Starmer actually believe in anything? Perhaps most damaging for Starmer was how traditional media outlets felt compelled to cover the controversy after Gervais' comments went viral. Suddenly, news programmes and political talk shows were discussing not just Starmer's awkward royal encounters, but the deeper pattern of apparent principle shifting throughout his career. The Labour leader found himself trapped in a narrative he couldn't control, one where even sympathetic media voices struggled to defend what increasingly looked like naked political opportunism. This wasn't Gervais' first time puncturing carefully constructed public images. His talent lies in identifying the gap between what public figures present and what audiences intuitively sense is true. But for Starmer, this exposure came at a particularly devastating moment. His entire appeal rests on being seen as the principled alternative, the straightforward, no-nonsense option after years of perceived governmental chaos. Gervais' intervention struck directly at this core claim. What we're witnessing in this collision between Starmer and Gervais isn't just entertaining political theatre, it's a profound warning about the cost of inauthenticity in our modern political landscape. Recent polling data reveals a crucial shift. Today's voters are increasingly demanding consistency and authenticity from their leaders, with growing numbers expressing outright distrust toward politicians who appear opportunistic. This fundamentally changes the game for figures like Starmer. The days when leaders could effortlessly pivot between contradictory positions without consequence are fading. Each carefully choreographed photo opportunity, each conveniently evolved stance, now faces unprecedented scrutiny. The public's hunger for genuine leadership means convenient transformations are increasingly seen not as pragmatic governance, but as cynical calculation. For Starmer, the question isn't simply whether he can weather this particular storm, but whether he grasps what the public truly craves. Not perfect leaders, but authentic ones. Once the curtain has been pulled back, it's extraordinarily difficult to restore the illusion.